What's up, guys? Week 13 Beerfield Fantasy Shots episode. I'm Dan Thury at Thury BFF. How you guys doing today? I'm doing fantastic. It's Wednesday. It's starting sits. You know what it is. Before I jump into it, though, I got some news. We're just going to quickly jump into Dirk Cutter himself stated that Jameis Winston will play this week against the Packers. Took all first-team reps today. Great streamer for the week. If you need a quarterback out there, we mentioned this on the show on Monday's episode. If you need a quarterback and he's out there, I believe he's only 41% owned before waivers went through, go out and get him. It's a great matchup this week. Doesn't have the best playoff matchups. I think it's believed against the Saints and the Vikings, but this week is a good one. And before we jump into starts and sits, also let's just jump into a quick Wednesday injury roundup. Marshawn Lattimore is back in practice and was limited in practice for the Saints. This is good for their defense, bad for anybody playing against them. Alex Collins was DNP per his calf issue. Cooper didn't practice today. He's likely going to miss Week 13 as most predicted. This is per shoulder and per ankle and per his concussion, which he has. I don't think he's cleared the protocol yet. Fournette was FP today. Looks like the ankle isn't bothering him as much, but that will continue to be an issue for this season. So if you're like me and you are a Fournette owner, just keep that in the back of your mind. Abdullah didn't practice today per neck issue. AP was limited today per his neck issue. Elshon was limited today per foot issue. Hopefully this isn't the same problems he's been facing over the last couple seasons. Sterling Shepard looks back to normal after missing the last couple of weeks per migraines. So hopefully that's behind him. Even though I don't really like him as much with Geno Smith. We'll see there. And also, big news. I don't know how I didn't completely forgot to say this. Hopefully Topper talked about it yesterday. Even though news dropped a little bit late. Eli Manning benched. Bullshit. If Hopper didn't talk about it, I'll give my quick 2 cents. It sounds like that it was his own call. From what I believe I saw somewhere, that he said the Giants asked if he wanted to start and keep going, and it sounds like Manning said no. A lot of outrage over this, and it does not look good on the Giants organization right now. A lot of early speculation saying that he can end up in Denver next year. He can end up in Jacksonville back with Tom Coughlin, which I think is the case and will happen, in which I love Allen Robinson and D.D. Westbrook if that happens next year. There was a false report, if you guys didn't see it. A fake Adam Schefter account got us all saying that Manning requested to be released. It was not Adam Schefter's account. It is not true, at least to anyone's knowledge at this point. So sorry for kind of jumping off course. Greg Olsen didn't practice per his foot issues. Hopefully that doesn't seem to be a problem. But apparently there are times where people have lingering issues after foot problems. Being that there's a bunch of heavy bones, so it makes sense. Christian McCaffrey did not practice a per shoulder injury. He took a big hit last week. And then Jordan Reed, like usual, is officially out for tomorrow night's game against the Cowboys. Fire PVDs. That's it for the injury roundup. There's more out there, but those are just some of the bigger ones. We're going to jump into starting sits. Before I jump in there, just a quick shout out to my two beautifully, arguably handsome, asshole-ish co-hosts, Nick Sparts at Nick Sparts and Chris Hopper at Hop BFF. You'll get those guys later on this week. Nick will be back on tomorrow, Thursday's show for Anything Can Happen. Hopper will be back Friday for DFS plays, and Nick will be back on again Saturday for ins and outs. But spoke too much about that. Let's jump into starts and sits. So having fun, the best way to want to set these up and give you guys a lot of players, because I don't want to take up a lot of your time. So we'll just kind of keep fucking winning it, because that's how we do things. This is very important. Week 13. Most leagues are a week or two away from their playoffs. Some leagues have started their playoffs. This is very important. We want to get this right. I want to get this right. I hope you guys do successful. And hopefully we get there. So my 2 starts, Kirk Cousins. Not a shocker here. I guess the 7th worst defense against QBs in the season and the 4th worst defense against QBs over the last 4 weeks. He's beginning to click again with Jamison Crowder. He keeps developing that chemistry with Josh Doctson. It seems the whole Terrell Pryor thing's out of the way. And it doesn't really fucking matter who his move tight end is. Whether it be Reed or Vernon Davis, they still get involved. Davis not so much last week. But I fully expect him to be at least a top 7 finish this week. Love him this week. And then next, Marcus Mariota. God, he's been a fucking nightmare to own this season. It's been tough. I understand. I don't own him in any leagues, but I know a lot of people that do, including telling my dad to get him in his league, who doesn't let me live it down as much. But this is a fantastic matchup. The Colts are not the worst, but they're pretty much up there. This should be a good matchup for them. And like I said, if you're streaming quarterbacks and you're this deep into the year, you're not just looking for, like, is he been fantastic? You're looking for the matchup, his potential. And this is a good game for him this week. And I think he has a good chance to put up a QB1 week against a soft defense. They should have Matthews back this week. Davis, another week removed from his hamstring problems. Obviously, Delaney Walker. Let's just hope we get to see it this week. Sleeper, Blake Bortles, didn't throw a touchdown. It's the first time he didn't. Last week was the first time he didn't throw a touchdown past since week 5. But he gets a great matchup this week, and you can't ignore it. This is he should be good to go. And like I said with Mariota, it's you're looking for matchups more so than anything else. God, I'm blanking on who he's grabbing this week. Sorry, guys. Oh, they're playing the Colts. Sorry. Wow, fucked that up completely. Tennessee is playing Houston. Houston, garbage. Very, very garbage. Thinking of last week, I'm pulling a Chris right now. Tennessee's playing Houston, which is even better for Marcus Mariota, which is why I leave him a little more this week. Bortles gets the Colts. Yeah. Moving on to running back. Sorry about that, guys. Jordan Howard. Mr. Little not so consistent. Can't really blame him because John Fox and who's ever calling the plays are fucking assholes. But he gets the 49ers. And let's not forget that you start your running backs against the 49ers. They've been better the last couple weeks, but they really haven't played anybody. I believe it's the Giants and the Seahawks, which is probably the 2 worst running back cores in the league right now. Jordan Howard should have his get-right game. The Bears are better when they get Howard involved and they don't rely on Trubisky. The Niners are not going to put up a lot of fucking points. Garoppolo, who I'll get to a little bit later, I love him. I just traded for him in a Dynasty League. But I don't foresee this game getting out of hand. I foresee the Bears being able to run the football a lot with them, and I like Howard this week. Next, Danny Woodhead, my favorite PPR running back. I fucking love me some Woodhead. Phrasing and all that shit, good intended. Since he's been back his last 2 weeks, he's had 4+ receptions in these games. Gets a weak Lions run defense that's been very generous to running backs this year. They've also been generous to pass catching backs this year. They rank 12th in receptions allowed, 11th in yards allowed, and 8th in targets. What is a great flex RB2 play this week with even high-end RB2 upside? Flacco loves to check down. He loves getting his running backs involved in the passing game, and Woodhead is now 3 weeks removed from being off IR and should be locked and loaded for a good week. My sleeper, Corey Clement. Not the best one on paper. Seattle's got a really good run defense, but Clement isn't there to just be a straight runner. He's there to be the pass catcher. He is their best pass protector, which is why he gets in a lot of third down plays and obvious pass plays. And Seattle can keep up with any offense. They are that fucking good on offense when Russell Wilson's clicking. Philadelphia's got a good defense, but Seattle will find ways to score, and this will be a true test to the Eagles. And I will not be shocked if Seattle beats them this week. But I like Corey Clement as a nice flex play. This is the game script that gets them. And then receivers, my start of the week, which you guys will hear me talk about again on the podcast. It's semi-Twitter debates with people between Tate and Jones. Golden Tate's my start of the week for the show, and a great start for receivers. He's been a little downer lately. Last couple of weeks hasn't done much. The Ravens are a bad matchup on paper, they're really good against outside receivers, not so much inside. Ladarius Webb is pretty terrible against slot receivers. PFF ranks on 101. He ranked 101st. Bruce Ellington put up, I think, 5 or 6 receptions against them this past Monday night. Tate is, in my opinion, will be locked and loaded. Tate is a very good slot receiver. He's not one of the best in the league. Webb just made Bruce Ellington successful in that. Tate should be able to feast. So I love him this week, and he doesn't get to see Jimmy Smith or Adam or Marlon Humphreys or Brandon Carr. Carr got a little beat up against Hopkins, but it's fucking Hopkins. So did Smith. Tate doesn't play outside; he plays inside anyway. So I love him this week. Next start of the week, or next receiver start, Jamison Crowder, another slot receiver. Answer what I said about Cousins in for Crowder. Crowder is finally gotten it going. Very slow start to this season, but over the last 4 weeks, 7+ receptions, 11+ targets. All 4 of those games he's gone for 70 yards. Sorry, 3 of his last 4 games. 11+ targets, 7+ receptions. All 4 of those games over 70 yards, and he finally found the end zone last week. Crowder is a big part of this offense, and we will need to see that going forward. And that'll be a big push to see if Cousins stays next year. Love Crowder this week, either way. Tight ends, got a couple. Completely forgot to put sleepers down as I'm trying to come into crunch time with this. I'll just do a quick look at my rankings for any wide receiver sleeper this week. Zay Jones, he'll be the number 2 this week against, or he'll be the main focus again with Kelvin Benjamin likely not to play. And I expect Buffalo to be in catch-up mode. Zay Jones gets his targets. The catch rate is terrible. He may not get it going early, but I expect him to at least give you a decent day. Even Deontay Thompson, I think one of those receivers will have a nice game. Yeah. And even more so, Martavis Bryant, if Juju's not playing. I don't like calling for that. The Bengals have been good against receivers this season, but I really think the Steelers are starting to move into that. Their defense is starting to show a little bit more of what we expected. Not so much of them being so super dominant, but them being more middle of the road. And I think the Bengals can keep up with them, maybe force them to throw a little bit more, which gets Bryant and those guys involved. So I like Bryant or Juju this week. More likely Bryant. I don't think Juju's going to play. Moving on to tight end. Sorry for wrapping that up too much. Jared Cook, fucking this one's easy. He plays against the Giants. You have to start your tight end against Giants. Giants have given up 10 touchdowns this season to the position, including also nearly 800 yards receiving. Cook's locked and loaded. Without Cooper, without Crabtree, this is an easy pick. Hunter Henry, my next one. Just like Jared Cook, he gets the Browns. Browns have given up the 2nd most touchdowns to the position at 9 and nearly 650 yards receiving. Henry's got a great chance to score a touchdown this game. Sits. The guy I just traded for in my Dynasty League, Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, a lot of hype to him. Went 2 for 2, scored a touchdown last week in garbage time against Seattle. A lot of hype to him. He's gotten, I think he has the best QB rating for minimum passing attempts of like 95. I saw, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. A lot of hype around him. New offense, new team. Just got traded a few weeks ago. No receiving core. I love his future. Not so much this week. I could be completely wrong about this, and I expect to somewhat. I am able to start him this week over Kaiser too. So just don't expect a huge game. Don't expect much. I wouldn't start him this week just because, not really because of the matchup. The Bears are actually 10th against quarterbacks this season. I just don't like everything else, the whole script to it. Prescott's my next one. Look, in the offseason when we did our bold predictions episode, I jokingly, because why it's bold predictions, stated that Dak will struggle with Zeke on suspension, and that'll last the entire season as his confidence will then regress a lot more. Since Zeke's been suspended, he's a QB 33. He's been terrible, benchable. You're not dropping him because Zeke's back in week 16, and there is a chance he could get it going again. But I was kind of right. It's weird. Like I said, though, he doesn't get Zeke back until week 16, which is the championship for most leagues. I do not like him rest of the season, and that'll be represented in my rankings nearly every week unless he proves me wrong. Running backs, Garrett Blunt. I mentioned that Clement's the sleeper this week. I do not like Blunt this week. Seattle has been fantastic against runners. 5th on the season against them, 6 over the last 4 weeks. This is a Clement and a Jai type of game. Blunt will get the first crack. I do not expect him to have a good game. Next is James White. Super sad to see him here. I love James White. The show loves James White. The whole White Lightning thing, even though Jordan Nelson's taking him, we love James White. The problem is the Patriots are really good at just saying, fuck it, we're going to run the football. They've played, they really haven't played teams that they need to make sure that they have to keep up with, which game scripts James White out of the game. Dean Lewis and Burkhead's more than enough for them to win games. Brady is completely fine throwing at the Gronk, Cooks, and then Bennett when he was healthy. They just don't need White right now. Both Lewis and Burkhead can also catch out the backfield. That's why this is a really dangerous trio of running backs. And the thing is that the Patriots really don't have a matchup where they're going to be afraid of going into a shootout since maybe Week 15 against Pittsburgh. They get to see Buffalo again and Miami, and I just don't like James White this week. I don't like him rest of the season. I don't think he'll have a favorable matchup game script-wise until Pittsburgh, and that's a maybe. Receiver is my sit of the week, Devontae Parker. Again, I'll talk about him on the show that we're recording here in a little bit, but he was Mr. Consistency kind of, and that's starting to lose it. It's starting to be gone. Cutler is back, which means he'll see more favorable targets instead of Kenny Stills, who was Matt Moore's favorite target. But they're playing against the Broncos. I understand that Aqib Talib's not going to play, but Parker gets to see. Sorry, my cat just sneezed. Parker gets to then see Chris Harris Jr., who is arguably better than Talib. At least he's been ranked that way by per PFF. And Miami's offense is in a fucking rut. I could be wrong again about this, but I do not like Parker at all this week. My next is the other side to the semi-Twitter beef that I don't even call it beef yet, but Twitter combo. It's Marvin Jones. Look, I was wrong about him last week, and I apologize. But damn it, I'm going back to the well again. Jones is going to see either a Jimmy Smith or Marlon Humphreys. Both have been very good this season. Humphreys hasn't got to play as much. Brandon Carr is the wild card here, depending on how much Jones sees him. Both Smith tends to play on one side, Jones, Humphreys. They'll all kind of rotate, but they'll typically play on the same side. Smith really has only been burned once this season, and that was this past Monday night against Hopkins. But it's fucking Hopkins. Hopkins is a fucking monster who the week before burned Patrick Peterson. Jones is great. He's an athletic freak. But I think the Lions will try to exploit the Tate on Ladarius Webb matchup more. I'm not saying that Jones is the worst sit of the week. I just don't think he's going to get you those points this week. I know I was wrong. Hopper and I were completely wrong on it. Monday, like I said, we came out and apologized for it. But I'd be wary on playing him this week. I do not trust him. Then lastly, tight ends. O.J. Howard. Look, Winston's back, which means Brate's back. And let's also not forget, Green Bay's given up 1 touchdown this season to tight ends. And they normally get burned by receivers or running backs, so tight ends don't need to get involved. I actually like Brate this week. It's hard to rank him high, given how good Green Bay's been against tight ends. But this spells Howard. This spells the end of probably Howard going back in. There is a narrative that I did paint the Monday's episode, though, saying that they may give Howard more of a look now that the season is seemingly lost. But I got to go with what we've seen so far this season, and that's when Brate's Winston's guy in the red zone, even with Mike Evans. Brate's Winston's guy on 3rd down. Brate's had his best games with Winston in, and that just spells doom for Howard. Will probably go back to more blocking than more route running. And then lastly, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, very touchdown dependent, and like the Packers, the Chiefs have only given up 1 touchdown to tight ends this year, and they also have only given up 40 receptions on this season, which is 3rd third fewest in the league. Jenkins gets the targets, but mostly receivers burn the Chiefs, and with Robbie Anderson and Jermaine Curse kind of getting it done before Josh McCown, Jenkins is reserved to that 5'6" for 20 yards type of tight end stat line, which is oddly enough what we've seen a lot this year. Jenkins is very touchdown dependent, as I just said, though, so he'll need that luck, and the Chiefs have only given him one, like I said, so I do not like him this week at all either. You know, it might be a little hard to move on from him given the lack of depth to tight ends. So that's all I got for you guys. Starting sits. I tweeted out my start of the week and my sit of the week. This is where the whole Twitter thing came from so far. Hopefully you guys do great. I hope that you guys listen and you guys do well. Whether you sit the guy I said to sit and you win, or you start the guy that I told you to start and you win. Like I said, though, I'll be back here next week. Maybe Mondays, depending on how things go. Wednesdays for sure for the playoff edition starting sits, where things get really fucking murky. I'm Dan Thury at Thury BFF again, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.